An Iranian pastor who converted to Christianity has been sentenced to death. Pastor Youcef Nadarkhani was arrested more than 2 years ago on charges of converting to Christianity. Lawyers in Iran and here in the U.S. are still working to get the conviction overturned. Joining us now with the latest on the pastor's case, Jordan Sekulow, the chief counsel for the American Center for Justice and Law. Great to have you here. Let's talk for a moment about this situation. It's a very, very sobering and scary situation for this pastor. What's the latest at this point, knowing that this sentence has been placed upon him and that he is awaiting, the death sentence at this point?
Sure, today he's been in jail 866 days only because of his Christian faith. His wife was in jail for a year. His Muslim human rights attorney in Iran is facing 9 years in jail and being barred from ever practicing or teaching law again. So it's been a serious case throughout. He's had that death sentence hanging over him for almost 2 years itself. And now the appeals process is kind of done. It went to the Ayatollah. And the latest news we got, we have a unique relationship with the ACLJ. We have offices around the world. We work with the Iranian legal team on the ground here. That's very rare that you ever get to follow something like this in Iran so closely. Last time this happened, where you could track it, 1990, and it was a pastor then. And what we have seen and what we reported on Monday, just like when we first started talking about it here on Fox News, who's done a great job covering this story for everybody, because the key is the attorneys came to us and they said, we have got to spread the message to the world. This is the second time they've kind of warned the signals and said, okay, tell everybody again. And that's because they believe, and these are experts, that on Monday when they gave us a phone call, that his life was now increasingly in danger and the execution every day. And that's because they do believe an execution order has been issued. Now in Iran, that's not public. In fact, in 1990, when you go back to the pastor who was executed, they got the execution order when they got the body.
Wow. The White House has released a statement condemning the action. But do you think the U.S. is going to have to step in a more, forward way, in a way that's really going to send Iran a clear message that it's very serious about the situation?
It's interesting because September, October, when we first started talking about it again, it took about a month for the State Department to engage. The White House engaged in October. Secretary Clinton then in December, taking it very seriously, and that's because it's Iran and it's a very careful relationship right now with the U.S. I understand that. Here this week, we announced this on Monday. Tuesday, we announced the execution order, and by Thursday, we have the White House, most powerful office in the world. And here's what's key. We don't want to make this about the U.S. government versus Iran. That will not help Pastor Naderkhani. But what does help is these statements and the world speaking out, and the media speaking out, because I'll break this here. Some people may have seen it, but it's in Iranian news. They have Press TV, which is funded by the Iranian government, has offices here in Washington, D.C., and they announced Friday, there's the front story of their homepage, this is not true. And they did this in October. And they said he's really not on trial for apostasy. He's on trial for other crimes.
Really?
And that's a good sign, at least that we know that because the White House and everyone has spoken out in the media, that they are being watched. And we know from precedent, past precedent, that's why the attorneys know this is important. Just because an execution order may have been issued, it doesn't mean it's over. In fact, Iran will do this. He's already been in jail 865 days. They could do it for another 2 years.
So they're backtracking.
They are backtracking. And what I hope we see here is at least a confirmation very soon, probably after the holidays are over there, the weekend, their day starts on Sunday. We can confirm he's alive again, taken together with that press report. They know they're watched. But here's what we have to be careful about. We may have stalled it again. That's what we hope and pray, and everybody's been working on it around the world. But we have to be prepared if they do move forward, they don't release him, because it's not really a victory until they release him, that they will test the waters. They have a history of doing this for up to about 5 years. And if the world doesn't speak out, one of those times we call you and say, hey, this may happen, because they try to get the media to say this is never really going to happen. That's when they carry out the executions. But if you keep speaking out and you're ready to every time, this regime listens. Obviously, you see their response 24 hours after the White House statement, and they've now, it looks like, delayed the execution. That's good news.
Well, let's hope so. That is good news. And so the pressure has to stay on
Absolutely.
In this situation.
And the great part about this also is that Eric Cantor, the House Majority Leader, announced to us last night that the resolution, which is bipartisan in the House of Representatives, is going to be likely voted on Wednesday this week. And a great thing about that is that the sponsor, it's Congressman Joe Pitts, a Republican. The other sponsor is the first Muslim congressman in U.S. history, Keith Ellison. So that's the world coming together. And I think we just have to keep up hope. Until we know it's over,
right,
you have to assume he's alive, and we keep fighting.
Well, we wish him all the best. Thank you very much for that update, and we'll be checking back with you, of course, about the situation as it develops.
Thank you, and
Appreciate
thank you for Fox News for covering this so heavily.